But it was advertised that that's what we did for them. Okay, so should we wait to open them? But yeah. Yeah, that'd be fine, let's do that. All right, thank you.
Jeff said he can hear now.
Yeah, let me get started here.
Jeff said he could hear now. He texted, said he couldn't hear. but now he
Okay.
can hear.
All right, I'd ask all of you that are on virtually to please mute your devices, and then when you're ready to speak, I'll have you unmute. We're getting a little feedback, so thank you very much. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. We have got present this morning Board Member George Clemens. Board Member Jeff Gross is attending virtually, so all of our votes will be cast with a roll call vote. Lynn Christian is here present. Attorney Scott Royst is virtual. We've got several department heads here. We've also got others on the meeting. So again, if you'd keep your microphones muted, and then you wish to speak or need to speak or are called on to speak, go ahead and unmute. So we'll start with the approval. In fact, let the minutes reflect that all board members are present, one virtually and the other two live. So we'll start with a roll call vote for the approval of the board minutes. Were there any corrections to those minutes? Or is there a motion to accept them as presented?
I didn't see anything. Did you, Jeff?
No, I move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Jeff Gross?
Aye.
George Clemens?
Aye.
Joe Tolmer? Aye. All right, thank you very much. No reports, oral and written communications, no unfinished business, so we will move into new business. I will make a comment that there were some bids that were advertised to be opened, received and opened today at 11:15, and evidently the item did not get put on the agenda. I will have our city engineer address that at the end of the meeting. We did receive 2 bids.
Maybe a third one on the way.
Well, I don't know if they met the requirement. I thought it was 11:15,
We didn't know anything about it. They were.
but it was advertised. James, are you on? Can you address this?
I am. We solicited bids from 3 contractors, and that notice told them the deadline was 11:15 today.
Okay, fair enough. So we have 2 of 3, and we will talk more about this at the end of our agenda. Since it didn't get put on the agenda, we'll have to add it at the end. All right, thank you. All right, item number 1, Parks Department. This is a contract for Light Up the Night. Looks like we're going to have a virtual Santa Claus this year. Is there someone from the Parks Department on the call? If you are, unmute yourself. All right, well, I'll go ahead and carry this one. This is just a contract with Harold Kaiser, AKA Santa. I would ask that this not be published for the spoiling some people's Christmases. So let's just leave this as is. This will be a Thursday through Saturday, December 17th through the 19th, virtual meeting with Santa Claus. Santa and Mrs. Claus will be at the Pete Thorne Center, and we'll evidently time slots will be set up and arranged on a go-to meeting format so that Santa can safely listen to the wishes of our children. So the cost of that is $1,500. I'm sorry I don't have any more details than that, but it sounds like in light of the fact that we're eliminating a lot of our live and in-person holiday events, this seems to be a great pivot from the Parks Department. Any questions?
No, I'll move we approve the contract.
I will second the motion.
All right, any further discussion? Councilman Gross,
Aye.
George Clemens,
Yes.
and Joe Tolmer, yes. All right, thank you. All right, item number 2 is a Buffalo Street Pay App number 7 in the amount of $266,297.25. Jeremy, I believe you're on the meeting and will present this.
Yes, just like our other pay application, this one in the amount of $266,297.25 is still coming out of the money received as part of regional cities. So I'm just requesting your approval of this pay application. James has reviewed it, in conformance with the contract and work completed.
All right, any questions?
No. I'll move to approve the pay application.
Motion by George, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Jeff Gross,
Yes.
George Clemens?
Yes.
Joe Tolmer, yes. Jeremy, can you just give us or Justin, can you give us a quick update on the timeline? I know we've had some struggles getting materials. Just curious where we're at these days.
Right now, they're projecting end of February, early March. We're still waiting on pavilion materials and then the decking. The decking is being pushed back until sometime in February. So assuming that holds up, we're expecting it to be completed sometime, let's say around end of February, early March.
Great, thank you very much. You guys have done a great job with that, and it's really coming to shape. So appreciate all your work, both you and Justin and everyone else that's involved in that. All right, the next item is a deed of dedication to Commerce Drive. You all remember this was a private road that was not up to city specs. I believe the owner and the property owners out there have taken care of that last year, and now are asking the city to take this over. Jeremy, any further comments on that?
Just to say that a portion of this, some of it we are not, some of it will still not be dedicated. We're still trying to work with Staples to get their portion of the street dedicated, but the remaining property owners out there would like to dedicate the portions that they have completed, being Store Masters and the management company, U.S. Management of Warsaw. So those two sections of the road would be dedicated as part of this deed of dedication. Like I said, it was constructed, we reviewed it, we were out on site when it was constructed and inspected it. And we agreed to take over the street once it was completed.
Jeremy, there's a map that's included in our packet, and it shows the road, looks like from one end to the other of 30 access. Is that entire portion what you're asking us to accept now, or is the Staples portion, as you referred to it, part of that, or is that actually the portion in front of Staples store?
So the portion that would be except, we're looking at deed of dedication as track 4 that runs to track 4 and track 3, and it ends in front of that lot 2. So those two portions are what the deed of dedication is for.
All right.
One being the U.S. Management, and the other one being the Store Masters. So it's about half of the right of way.
Okay, well, actually, it's more than that, Jeremy. It's tracks 1, 3, and 4 on that survey The only portion that Staples has ownership of is track 2, that very small triangle. So it would dedicate everything from end to end, with the exception of that little track 2.
Okay.
When the road was installed, we then had an as-built survey done, which is what you have in front of you. And that's when the very small portion of it is actually owned by the state store. I've been working with them for a year and a half to get that deed signed for that small triangle. And it's just one excuse after another. U.S. Management and Big R have no problems with it. I have been signing the deeds, and I've had them for over 2 years. We mediated this settlement after a lawsuit was filed. The owners kicked in over $300,000 to bring the road up to specs, and we just don't want to wait any longer for Staples' small triangle to get this completed. The road is where the road is, and it's being used. It's not like Staples' refusal is causing interference with traffic. It's just causing interference with my client's ability to get this complete.
So, thank you, and that was for those streaming that didn't know, that's Attorney Steve Snyder, who's representing the landowners, I believe, out in that area in this endeavor. Is that correct, Steve?
That's correct.
So, referring to that small triangle on the diagram, I mean, it's listed as .04 acres. It doesn't even completely cross the street. It's just looks like it's just a small triangle of about 1 lane of that little area there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question too.
So if we approve this without track 2, then you would have to come back once you get that signed and have that approved. Is that correct?
That is my intent. The situation with the owner of the Staples store is they have a lease with Staples, and they've been trying to get Staples to agree to modify the lease to eliminate that little triangle that would be dedicated. And I've been working with an attorney in Houston, like I said, for 2 years to get that done. And I can't explain why there's a big deal about it that there has.
Sure. I would like to call on our city attorney, Scott Royst, to weigh in on this. I assume you all have talked, but to update the board so that we can make the right decision today.
Yeah, I think it's proper to go ahead with the request of the landowners. It seems that they've made due diligence to get, the mediation was a long time ago. They all chipped in a whole bunch of money. It's pretty nice over there. I don't think that the little triangle from Staples should hold up the dedication of all the rest of it, and hopefully we can continue to work to get Staples to modify their lease and then dedicate their .04 acres of land to make it work. But yeah, I'd move forward with accepting the dedication at this time as presented.
Well, as I look through this deed of dedication, it only shows tract 1 and tract 2. It doesn't show 3 or 4. So I guess that's the question. I think, Jeremy, you might have been going off what that deed of dedication said when you described tract 1 and 2.
Yeah, I tried to print off what Steve sent me. If I missed something, then I can get that printed off. But if Steve is saying that track 1, 3, 4 are the tracks, then I'm good with that. I printed off what was sent to me.
There are actually 2 deeds, Jeremy. One from U.S. Management and one from the owner of Big R. I thought I had emailed both of those deeds to you, but I do have 2 deeds. The only complication with recording them, if you approve the dedication, is they were signed so long ago, it was before there was a requirement for a separate witness to the deed. And I'm not sure the county recorder will now accept those without that separate witness statement. If it's required, we'll get the witness statement. If, because the deeds were dated before the legislature messed with the statute, they may allow it recording without that statement, but we'll know that once you make your decision.
Yeah. Well, I have the 2 deeds that were printed off, so, I'll get with Scott, but, I mean, at this point, I think, we're just seeking approval from the Board of Works to accept, that track 1, 3, and 4, and then, we'll work with you to get it recorded, beyond that point.
Do you have any description of track?
So right now, though, the deeds are showing 1, 2, and 3. I see nothing that shows 4. I mean, I don't want to hold things up because I think we're all very appreciative of the work that's been done, and with the exception of getting a signature on 2, but I just want to do this properly, so that, you know, I don't want to sign this deed if it says 2 is on there, and you know, we shouldn't.
The numbers on the deed do not correspond to the numbers on the survey. One deed has 2 parcels on it, the other one has 1 parcel on it. So we look at those as tracks 1 and track. But they're actually, on that deed, it's track 1 and track 4 as labeled on the survey. We can't label them that way on the deed because then the recorder would say, where are tracks 2 and 3? So we just label them 1 and 2 that way.
Okay, so
Yeah, so by that virtue, the 3 descriptions are there. Those 2 deeds that you sent me, Steve, are what they're looking at.
Right.
Yeah, usually those 2 deeds have the 3 tracks described in them.
Yeah, the one from U.S. Management has 2 parcels on it.
yes,
The far, in the far west. And the one from Big R, which is actually Storemaster Funding, has 1 track on it, which is the parcel adjacent to that.
okay. So what you're saying is that these numbers, these track numbers aren't lining up with the map, but they indeed are what is asking to be considered here. And what shows on the map as track 2, which is the very small triangle, is not a part of either of these deeds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I think it was just the numbering of the map and the deeds that have thrown everybody off. But if you're assuring the board that the numbers on the deeds match the actual tracks and don't include the small triangle, then I think I feel fine doing this. George or
I assure you of that.
so that matches the legal descriptions on these deeds, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. All right, Jeff and George, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
I just think for me, I'm doing the best I can to follow everything. I've seen all 4 tracks on page 8. It's just important, Mayor, that I heard you're comfortable. Steve Snyder's comfortable, James is comfortable, Jeremy is comfortable, and then our own legal department. I would like to hear that before I take any action on this. Thank you.
Yeah, I've solicited that and have been able to, Steve has given us the thumbs up that these descriptions match the intended parcels that need to be approved and do not include the small .04 acre triangle adjacent to Staples. And I'd ask James and Steve and Jeremy to just acknowledge that that's exactly what we're looking at here.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at, and this has been from day one, a cooperation with the companies out there to go from point A to point B, at which point, once they completed what we had asked them to do, we had indicated to them that we would take the street over. So this is us saying
Yes.
they have completed what we had asked them to do in order for us to take over that street.
All right, James Emmons?
Yes, I'm comfortable nomenclature on that as-built drawing that's throwing confusion. The written description sounds like it does encompass what we want.
Thank you. And Steve, you've kind of acknowledged that, but again, just for Board Member Gross, the explanations that have been given are satisfactory to you.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so before we vote, I do want to thank you, Steve. You've worked awful long and awful hard on this project, and people really noticed when we finally got things done. We're here to keep our end of the bargain up and get this thing taken care of, get it dedicated to the city. So with...
My clients sincerely appreciate it.
Great. So with that, are there any other questions before we consider this? Lynn,
No,
are you good? Did you get?
I'm
Okay.
clear.
All right, fair enough. All right, is there a motion to accept the dedication of the majority of this road?
Jeff Gross, so moved.
All right,
I'll second that.
all right. Again, any further final discussion? All in favor, say aye. Oh, wait, sorry, we got to do a roll call vote. Jeff Gross?
Aye.
George Clemens?
Aye.
Joe Tolmer, aye. All right, thank you, Steve. And so I assume you'll be getting back with us with the Staples portion?
The first thing I'm going to do is confirm with the county recorder that the deeds in their current form are acceptable. If she says yes, then I'll get those from Jeremy and we'll get those two recorded. If she says no, we'll go back and add the separate execution page and get them signed again. Hopefully we won't have to go through that, but I'll work with Jeremy to get this done.
Great. All right. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it very much.
I guess there was one thing no one asked, that if there was any search done to make sure there's no property taxes or liens on any of these pieces of property.
There are property taxes because they're privately owned, and that's certainly one of the reasons my clients want to get the dedication completed. All the property taxes have been paid.
Okay, that's what I wanted
The
to
one
hear.
piece from U.S. Management has a consent from their mortgage company to the dedication. And I think Rick Helm, who represents Big R, had responded as well. If there is a dedication, there's not going to be some mortgage company foreclosing on the road. It's not possible.
Okay, clear.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to item number 4. This is the agreement, the 2021 agreement for our hearing officer. Jeremy, any comments?
This is just the boilerplate agreement we've used for the last 2 years. The price hasn't changed, the dates and times of the meetings haven't changed. So it's just reauthorizing that employment agreement for 2021 with Thomas Earhart.
All right. Are there any questions?
No, I'll move we accept that agreement.
All right.
Jeff, I'll second.
All right. Jeff Gross?
Aye.
George Clemens?
Aye.
Joe Tolmer, aye. All right, thank you. Item number 4 is also from Building and Plan. This is a contract with Novatics for permitting software. And Jeremy, I know Mary's on as well, if you all have comments, and Justin and James, everybody from the Plan Department weigh in on this.
Yeah, so over the last few years, Building Planning has been wanting to update our permitting process to a digital platform. The events of the last year have definitely highlighted the importance of that, having that available to the public. So over the past few months, our assistant planner, Johnny Laskow, and Mary Haberman, our GIS coordinator, have been researching the best programs to implement for this digital permitting software. This contract is the culmination of their work. So it would be a contract between us and Novatic LLC for the design and implementation of a digital permitting software. This software would work through Elements. It's a GIS-based program that's already in place in a couple different city departments already. So it would help us integrate with other city departments as well as customize it to the needs of the building and planning department. So we're really excited at the prospect of having this put in place.
just say that, this isn't just something the pandemic has certainly escalated the process, but we've been looking at this the last 3 years. We've been following other departments across the region and what products they're using to try to upgrade our current system from an efficiency and effectiveness standpoint, trying to streamline our building permit process and make it more efficient. Having dealt with this company through wastewater and street department, I think the team that we assembled to look at felt like this was the best option to go with, and it has the most flexibility and allows us to address all those issues, including code enforcement, building inspection, permit issuance. So it's kind of an all-in-one program that we can hopefully roll out in the next year. That will make it easier for people within the community to access online. I think there will still be the ability for someone to come in and do it in person, but having that portal more or less that you can submit permits online will certainly be advantageous, and its ability to communicate with everyone throughout the department will help us reduce our paper copying needs, improve some efficiencies there, and also go to a digital file format and stop from having to have a filing cabinet, paper copies, and so forth. So it's going to be a pretty big upgrade in the long run, but it'll take a little bit of time to get there.
All right. And I will also note that CARES Act money will be supporting this endeavor. This is a permitted use of that money, as it's become to this week's example of City Hall being available for in-person only by appointment. A lot of what we do in City Hall can be done digitally. We knew this was a challenge. I asked Jeremy and Mary and the rest of the department, Justin and Johnny and everyone involved, to brainstorm and come up with a platform that will work as a sustainable program that also meets our organizational review. The requirements there were to do some digital planning, do some IT infrastructure planning and strategic planning to move forward. And this checks all of those boxes. And we're fortunate that this will also be paid for with CARES Act funds that are available, but those had to be done this year, so hence the move to get it done. And I thank you all for all the work you put into it. I know you're all excited to get this thing going. Questions?
Mayor, I have a question. I went through and I understand the upfront billing, but I don't see any maintenance costs. In the required licensing section, it talks about it, but there are no specifics. If there's any information on that could be shared now, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, so Mary might be able to help you a little bit with that, but currently the software program that we're using is being used by wastewater and street department. So there is a cost to that on a yearly basis, but they are paying that. The indication that's been given to us is that that cost will not increase. However, I do suspect, Jeff, that wastewater and the street department will probably ask us to chip in on that yearly cost, but it will not increase as what I'm being told in terms of the overall cost of the city.
So
Thank you, Jeremy.
wastewater's paying for the elements upgrade or the annual maintenance that we've had now for, I think this is our second year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So this is, Jeff, this is a program within the Elements family of software. So as Jeremy suggests, now that other departments, and this is all what's going to happen with this IT governance, strategic planning for the future. It's going to allow all of our departments to participate on our server with these asset management softwares that more than one department can use. So figuring out the costs and how they'll split up between departments is an ongoing process. But currently, the Elements, as Jeremy suggested, is being paid by wastewater.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jeremy.
Mary, anything else? Did I say that right?
Yes, no, you guys covered everything I was gonna say. Yeah, right now it's being split halfway down wastewater and halfway at public works for maintenance.
Okay, great. Well, again, thank you for your work on this as well. Any other questions, George?
No? Good questions by Jeff. I think, are you comfortable then, Jeff, with this?
Yes, thank you.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Jeff, I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Jeff Gross?
Yes.
George Clemens?
Yes.
Joe Tolmer? Yes. All right, thank you all for all your work on that. We're excited to get this going. All right, item number 6. This is a contract worksheet with commercial builders and maintenance. Stacy and James have been working down in our room that houses our server in the basement. There's can be a little issues with cooling, so one of the proposals was to construct a wall that will limit the space that cooling needs to be viable in, and that should take care of the problems. James, is any comments to that?
Now, the room that we chose to install the IT equipment is more than twice the space that we need. The equipment requires some type of AC handling to keep temperatures down and within operating range of the equipment. And the method that we're using, the room is almost too big and it's taxing that equipment. When we did the room and we talked with Brady, he knew we weren't going to heat all of that room, and it was discussed at that point of maybe making the room smaller. Well, the AC equipment has had some trouble. We think this is a cost-effective way, a better investment of funds to get the room down to the size we only need for the IT equipment. It actually makes it a little more secure because there will only be a single door then going into that room. Currently, there's 2 doors going into the larger space, and we're using some of that larger space as storage now anyway. So I would envision the second half of that room that when we divide it, it'll just become a storage room.
All right, any further questions?
I move to approve.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Jeff Gross?
Yes.
George Clemens?
Yes?
Joe Tolmer? Yes. All right, thank you, appreciate it. Thanks for your explanation, James. All right, item number 7, Human Resources has a revision on the short-term disability policy. Jennifer?
Yes, so before you, I just ask that you adopt or approve the revisions for our short-term disability policy. The two biggest changes would be on page 8 and page 9, where you want to allow the employees based upon their financial situation at the time, if electing or needing to go on short-term disability, if they want to contribute 3 hours a day or a third of their pay for 100% pay. Does not happen very often, but we do want to give them that opportunity. We also want to notify them that if they choose not to go on short-term disability, that's okay too. That's totally their choice. However, if the doctor tells you that you're only going to be gone for 6 weeks, that doesn't mean that you get to be gone 6 weeks on sick leave and then wrap an additional 6 weeks on the tail end for short-term disability. It's whatever the doctor says. They're not going to be able to double dip, if you will. We just wanted to notify them that if they do elect full pay by contributing some benefit time, that is taxable as well. So, and then the other change is that, and this was missed in the prior booklet, it did not get carried over, and we discovered it with the situation this year, that when somebody does go off on disability and we have a release to come back to work, even if it's light duty, and then we figure that the employee just can't do that, or the employee starts experiencing some issues with that, they can immediately go back on short-term disability and not have another 7-day waiting period. We can just pick up where we left off as long as it happens within 2 full work weeks. And if approved, once approved, we'll notify the employee, we'll send out new policies for them to acknowledge of receiving, and we'll be ready to go.
Jennifer, I know you're very
Yes.
diligent when we make these changes, and I assume that all these changes are past the scrutiny of our employment attorney.
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of the biggest one that we got a hurdle on was actually through the administrators, attorneys on their side that recommended that we make some changes because it was not flowing correctly when the prior administrator was doing it, so, yeah.
So these are really updated revisions
They
that
are.
improve employee benefits.
Correct, you are
And
correct.
meet all the state requirements.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Questions?
No, they seem very logical. Good work. And kudos to you
Thank
for
you.
listening, like to an opposing attorney's suggestion. And saying, oh, so, oh, really?
Well, that's always a good
So
thing.
that's good. So I will move to accept the disability policy revisions.
Thank you.
Second, Jeff Gross.
All right. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, Jeff Gross,
Yes.
George Clemens,
Yes.
Joe Tolmer, yes. All right, thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And then you got
The new hire report? Correct.
Yes.
So we have 3 brand-new officers that are going to be coming on board. These are all replacement from officers who have retired or have left us for other employment. And then we also have Megan Bortner. She will be going into a non-probationary status. She'll be officially, as a ceremony, sworn in probably in December, maybe January, but she is ready to go. So we needed to get that acknowledged so we can increase her pay as a non-probationary status.
which is part of the whole.
It is part, yes,
Yep.
it's in our salary ordinance. So
Yes.
we do need to do that, we need to accept it.
All right. Well, I know this is certainly very necessary. I'm really pleased to see that we're hiring 3 officers. I know we've got a few to go, but getting this gives us a good start. And I know Chief's not here, but Brian Sherwin's here, and I pass along our appreciation for the hard work to get this done, because I know it's not easy. Any questions? Jeff?
No, I have no questions. I move to approve all as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, further discussion? Roll call vote, Jeff Gross,
Yes.
George Clemens,
Yes.
Joe Tolmer, yes.
Thank you.
All right, let's move back to the opening of the bids for the, I think it's a police, the roof, repair the roof on the police garage. Again, James, any comments on this process? And at least explain what has been done as far as the public advertisement or the solicitation of these bids?
Yeah, with the opinion of cost for the project, we were allowed to solicit for the project, and we did. We solicited from 3 contractors. The project is the 10-bay garage roof, not the admin building. It's the structure to the east of the admin building that we're putting a new roof on. I do want to say, Mayor, that there was some confusion. It's my understanding a bidder did try to drop off a bid before the meeting and was directed to take it to the police department. And I'm assuming then they had to turn around and come back. I heard you say that there may have been one bid that was late coming.
No, I think they were both here on time. There was just, but there's only 2. So there's a third that you anticipated that I don't believe we got.
Okay, that's good. I didn't want to eliminate a potential bidder if it was us that redirected them. If that was the reason for being late, as long as they got there on time, then we should just be able to open those 2 bids, and then we'll take them under advisement.
All right, fair enough. Thank you. James, did the advertisement say that the bids would be taken here at City Hall at 11:15 on this date?
It did. It did. It read that bids would be accepted until 11:15 a.m. local time on November 20th, 2020, and that they were to be delivered to 102 South Buffalo, and that they would be opened at the Board of Works meeting.
All right, so the advertisement was correct, and we had 2 that responded. The first would be CMS Roofing. They've submitted a base bid for the 10-bay garage roof replacement of $97,810. There's an alternate for $6,500 to install Black Knight flood coat and gravel surface over roof field in lieu of Garla Bright coating. So, again, 97810.00, 97,810 for the base bid, and 6,500 for an alternate coating, gravel coating in lieu of Garla Bright coating
I'm sorry.
as an
Drew,
alternate.
What was that base bid again, please?
97810. And the second bid was received by Fort Wayne Roofing. And the 10-bay garage roof replacement, the bid is $106,600, with also an alternate for the same thing of $2,200. So the base bid is $106,600, and the alternate number one for the flood coat Black Knight flood coat and gravel surface overfield in lieu of Garla Bright coating is $2,200. So, per James' request, I would ask the board to consider taking these under advisement and awarding them at the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
So moved, Jeff Gross.
Second?
What's this other, Lynn?
Where'd you pull that out of?
Okay.
Well, you handed it to me and it wasn't opened. Oh, these are just financial statements for the company that,
I only handed you 2 envelopes, so I don't know if that's.
yep, there was 2 envelopes, one was stuck together.
Did you find a pair of scissors in the envelopes? Okay.
All right, I'm sorry. Was there a motion to take these under advisement?
Jeff motion.
Jeff motion, second by George. Further discussion? Roll call vote, Jeff Gross.
Yes.
George Clemens.
Aye.
Joe Tolmer, yes. All right, thank you. Lynn, any special claims?
Nope.
All right, and then the claims docket?
I had my one question answered, so did you say anything, Jeff?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, I'll move then that we approve the claims doc.
All right,
Second.
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 Further discussion? All right, roll call vote, Jeff Gross.
Yes.
George Clemens.
Yes.
Joe Tolmer. Yes. All right, any other items to come before the board today? All right. Thank you very much. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Mayor, for navigating through all this stuff.
Thank you.
Man.
Yeah, that was